Good morning, YouTube. This is Johnny. Thought I'd make a video. As I told you, these glasses are scratched, and I did make an eye appointment for next week. Today is Thursday, February the 8th, 2024. It is 9:38 in the morning. Yeah, I made an appointment for next Thursday, which is Valentine's Day. I got an 8 o'clock in the morning appointment. So then once I see my eye doctor and get a prescription, I can get new glasses. I'm tired of these scratches. So I hope you're doing well. I just thought I'd make a video. I thought about doing a Friday Reads video, but I figured I like to be spontaneous and not rehearse. And I do have some things to share. Just talk about books, music, writing in my diary. This morning I'm on page 119. And I'm reading for morning devotions, The Decades of Henry Bullinger, Volume 1. Reading on the Sixth Commandment, thou should not commit murder. So you hear the dog. That's Ollie. Our son, our oldest son, they went to New Orleans, him and his family, hook up with other family members, and we're watching their dog, Ollie, so you hear him bark into the dog, our neighbor's dog. So, yeah. So what I want to do in this video is just ramble, basically. This is a ramble. One thing, I did get the new, I was responding to a comment this morning because I mentioned getting a Tai Seagal CD, and I got it, First Taste. I didn't get his new one. I tend to buy ones I didn't have. You know, when I'm a kind of like a completist. If I have a certain musical artist, I want everything that they put out, but that becomes kind of expensive. And plus, as you know, that my hearing is going out. I have tinnitus in my left ear, and I'm losing my hearing. But I still buy CDs and listen to them. So I listen to this. I usually listen to something before I buy it. And you go to Bandcamp, you can listen to, or you can go to YouTube and listen to the music. So I got the new Tai Seagal. He also did a side project called Coach Whips by Tai Seagal. And I have other ones, Tai Seagal. This one, I can't pronounce, Mapillator or Matpolator. And then he did a Tai Seagal T-Rex covers. Ollie, come here. Ollie, shh. And then he did this project called Fuzz, live in San Francisco. And then he did Tai Seagal. This is self-titled. I bought this at a used book sale. And then Tai Seagal in White Fence Hair. And then this is Tai Seagal, Emotional Mother. And then Tai Seagal, Fuzz 3. And then you have Fuzz 2, Tai Seagal. So, Ollie, come here. Come here. I'm out. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. Get up. Stop. Get. Enough distraction here. So yeah, so I like Tai Seagal. I like noise rock. He does kind of noise rock, grunge rock, some punk. He kind of mixes it all up, and I kind of like that. So yeah, I got another Tai Seagal for my collection. as far as books, besides reading this morning the decades, it's a 2-volume work. I showed you to it. Yes. Henry Bullinger was a reformer, a Protestant Reformation. What years did he live? He lived from 1504 and he died in 1575. And I just got these last year. This is what a video I'm going to make is, as you know, I mentioned in my videos that when I get a book, a used book, I like to, if I have other books by that person, I'd like to get them all in one together. So I go through my library and find the books that go along with that writer or poet or whatever. And yesterday, I had to go to Staples office supply store and get an ink cartridge for our printer. And I stopped at Salvation Army and I found some books. And one of the books I found is this book by James Dickey, The World as a Lie, a biography. Now, James Dickey was a writer, he was a poet, he was, let me see here, he was a poet, a writer, a critic, and it says here about James Dickey was the maker of his own mystique, casting himself in the role of the heroic American male writer. He created a legend, sports star, war hero, businessman, outdoorsman, ferocious consumer of both alcohol and women, the Georgia mountain boy turned National Book Award winning poet, best-selling novelist who became one of the most popular, notorious writers of the 60s and 70s. His celebrity found him covering the Apollo moon launch for Life magazine, debating issues on television, with William Buckley writing the commemorative poem for President Jimmy Carter's inauguration, and starring as a Southern sheriff in the film of his novel Deliverance. And as poetry consultant for the Library of Congress, Dickey brainstormed for poetry throughout the country, delivering outrageous readings that left audiences alternately shocked and buzzing with excitement. But James Dickey made lying both a literary strategy and a protective camouflage. Even his family and closest friends often failed to distinguish between the mythical Dickey and the actual man. Henry Hart sees lying as the central theme of Dickey's life and art. And this authoritative and immensely entertaining biography, Art dives deeply behind his subject's many masks, beginning with Dickey's Atlanta, Georgia childhood and continuing through his Second World War service, his formative education at Vanderbilt, his years as an advertising executive, and finally the remarkable flowering of his poetry in the late 1950s. Hart portrays a man of many talents, continually struggling to reconcile his ascetic, private impulses with his public displays of masculinity. And it goes on. Well, James Dickey, so I got this at the Salvation Army yesterday. And so I knew I had other books by James Dickey. And I went downstairs when I got home yesterday. I couldn't find them. And finally last night, I looked at a bin that was filled with South American literature, poetry, and novels, and I found them. And this is I'm just saying, this is what I have by James Dickey. This is a a memoir called Summer of Deliverance, a memoir of father and son by Christopher Dickey. So this is Christopher Dickey wrote a memoir about his father and their relationship, son and father. So it's called Summer of Deliverance. Now, James Dickey is famous for his novel Deliverance, and it was made into a movie or a TV show. And then he wrote a novel called Into the White Sea by James Dickey. Then I have this book, James Dickey. This is, I think this is what you call sorties. James Dickey's creativity as a poet is well known, but there have been few opportunities for his readers to become familiar with the full dimensions of his mind and thoughts and perceptions that lie just outside the matter of his poetry. Sorties brings together the contents of a journal kept by Dickey for several years and 6 discerning essays on poetry and the creative process. So these are like his non-fiction writings. And then I have a book of poetry by James Dickey, poems 1957 to 1967. So I found these. It took me a long time. But when you're looking for something, when I was looking for other writings by James Dickey, you usually find things that you also have been looking for that you couldn't find. And that's what I mentioned. I bought this novel, Natural History by Maureen Howard, and I told you I knew I had a hardback of it, but I couldn't find it. And last night when I was looking for my James Dickey collection, I found it. And this is it, the hardback. I found it in a bin, and I knew I had it, but I could not find it. And I stumbled across it, Natural History. So now I have the paperback, and now I have the hardback. I kept the hardback because, well, one thing, it's recommended by Susan Sontag. America, her little blurb back here by Susan Sontag on natural history. America as history, as show, as a museum, as language. From the novel's marvelous title alone, one can already anticipate something Maureen Howard's visionary ambition and sureness in the rendering of creatural and local detail. Natural history is a thoughtful, original, and grandly generous book. And it has a little blurb by Richard Powers, who I collect his writings too. Natural history is our nation's attic, Bridgeport, our Dublin, and then some Barman, our own all-engrossing Impressionero, a book like no other. It cataloged a vast urgent museum. It floods the mind, leaving behind a heartbreaking high water mark of art. So I found that when I was looking for that my James Dickey collection. And also I have been looking for this book. I came across it a couple of weeks ago in someplace. I knew I had it, but I couldn't find it. It's called Hitlerland, America's Eyewitnesses to the Nazi Rise to Power by Andrew Nagorski. I knew I had this book. I came across it and I said, I have that book. I could not find it. It says here in the back, Hitler's rise to power, Germany's march to the abyss as seen through the eyes of Americans, diplomats, military officers, journalists, expats, visiting authors, Olympic athletes who watched horrified and up close. By tapping a rich vein of personal testimonies, Hitlerland offers a gripping narrative full of surprising twists and a startlingly fresh perspectives on this heavily dissected era. So I found that. I was looking for it. And then I mentioned to you, I found this novel at Finville Used Book Room, Finville Library, Ask Alice, a novel by D.J. Taylor. I showed you that he wrote, D.J. Taylor, a very famous biography on Orwell's. I can't remember his first name. What was it called? Oh, I can't. Orwell. My mind just went blank. But anyway, he wrote on Orwell. And I knew I had other books by him. And I found one of them when I was looking for my James Dickey collection. And he wrote this book, D.J. Taylor. Bright Young People, The Lost Generation of London's Jazz Age. This is nonfiction. So I found this, and apparently what he does, he'll write, he'll do like a nonfiction, like on the Jazz Age, and then he'll use that material to write historical. So you have a nonfiction on the Jazz Age, and then he does a novel based on the same kind of historical material. He makes it into fiction. The Jazz Age in London fiction. He did. I did find his Thackeray biography, and he did do a novel, historical fiction, that took place during the Victorian period, but I can't find it. So yeah, I found Hitlerland, America's Witness to the Nazi Rise to Power by Andrew Nagorski. And I found my hardback edition of Natural History by Maureen Howard. So you're always, it gets kind of frustrating when you're looking for something down the lower level. You have to go through the bins and the boxes and shelves and stacks of books. But sometimes you find things that you're looking for, and sometimes you find things that you have forgotten you had. So yeah, I like James Dickey. I like his poetry. He was a Southern poet. He was born in Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia, I think it was here. Yeah, James Dickey, born in Atlanta, 1923, has been called by Life magazine both the unlikeliest and the hottest of emerging U.S. poets. And brash as they are, both of those statements are true. Mr. Dickey's early career was that of a star college athlete, football hurdles, night fighter, pilot with over 100 missions in the Second World War and Korea, a hunter, woodsman, successful advertising executive in New York and Atlanta. Whatever his genre, Mr. Dickey at the same time has been an acute, subtle searcher for answers to the ultimate questions, and the medium of his search has been poetry. So yeah, so that's my Dickey collection. So yeah, this is the biography I found yesterday of James Dickey, A World as a Lie by Henry Hart, a biography. It's over, it's like over 700 pages. So that goes to my James Dickey collection. So yeah, as far as I'm almost done with the novel Blueprints of the Afterlife, a science fiction kind of fantasy by Ryan Boudinot. Yeah, I'm almost done with it. I read last night before going to bed, I read some more of Claudio Magris, his essays, journalings, translated from the Italian by Appel. So, you know, one thing about when I make these videos, I've been doing it for 8 years. Next month, March, is when I began, 2000, I don't know, 8 years ago. That, you know, my purpose here is not to get a fan club. I'm here to share my love for books. And Christian books, poetry, literary fiction, American history, essays by Italian intellectuals and writers, science fiction books, fantasy, Protestant Reformation theology, and also my love and my enjoyment of popular music. But I'm not here to get a huge fan base. And sometimes I get negative responses because of some of my political views and my mostly, but I've never come here to get a huge subscription list. Now, I'm thankful for all my subscribers, but as I told you, that these videos that I film in YouTube are posted in my online diary, Crooked Fingers. I've been on Crooked Fingers going on 23 years, and I get around 300 or 400 hits a day on my online diaries. And on my videos, you know, maybe I'll get 300 hits. But I don't do it to get popularity. I'm not here to become, I just want to be real. I just want to share what I believe as a Christian, my love for books. And I do have political views. I have views on all kinds of issues. And I've seen booktubers who express their views, and some don't, which is fine. Some, like I said, some booktubers, all you know is that they're books. You don't know if they're married. You don't know where they live. You don't know anything about them. They just talk about books. But I've always been one to share my life, even with strangers. I'm kind of a rambler. And as I get older, I kind of ramble more. But I'm just here to be real, share my love for books, book hauls, going to used book sales, books in my library, books in my collection, things I read in the morning. I'm a diary writer. I write all the time in my paper diary and my online diaries. I like listening to music. I sit in the hermit hut, and watch time go by. And I pray. I seek to live by the Word of God, the Bible. I seek to live in the light of God's holiness. I don't seek to live a lie. I don't seek to be deceived. I seek the truth. I'm a lover of truth. I love history, personal history, world history, Christian history, history of the soul, history of the moon. But I'm just here to be Johnny Ray Keene, who lives in the hermit hut, who wants just to share my love for literature and to reach out and say, hey, you know, you're not alone. So if my views of politics offends you, I'm sorry. It's not my intention. I'm just trying to speak from my heart. And I'm an old man. I've been around 72 years, going on 72 years. I've been reading American history almost my whole life, since I was in high school. One of my sons is a history teacher. My oldest son did PhD work in political philosophy. My daughter was an elementary school teacher. All my kids married highly educated people. I don't think I'm stupid. I don't think I'm deceived. I don't think I'm fake news. So once again, I thank you for your comments. Thank you for subscribing. Do pray you're having a good reading week. And I do have some used books down the lower level. I got yesterday. I got a book that came in the mail yesterday. I'll show those in future videos. I got allergies. That's why I sound kind of sick. I got a cold or some kind of allergy. But I better sign off. Once again, I really appreciate all you guys. And I thank you for all your support and just being out there, and just pray that you're really doing well. And until next time, bye.